It's been 3 years now since Australia introduced its voluntary grocery code of conduct. In my view, as appealing as industry codes of practice might sound in theory, they don't work in practice and they get in the way of real solutions. In this video, I'm going to separate fact from fiction on this issue. Observers commonly raise a number of issues in relation to the Australian Code that actually have relevance for the UK as well. Number one, long-standing ambiguities in trading relationships are there for a reason. They exist because the two parties can't agree on them. The Code can't fix that. Number two, retailer-appointed compliance officers for the Code are not independent enough. Number three, virtually all manufacturers know that they risk reprisal if they take action under the Code, so they don't do it. Number four, the Code does not stop the rather heinous practice of retailers forcing manufacturers to open their books and share what constitutes trade secrets about their brands. Number five, the Code doesn't stop basic issues of unfairness, such as aggressive negotiating practices that amount to abuse of power by retailers. Besides these objections, I'm going to debunk some of the positive claims that are made in support of having an industry code. Positive claim number one, setting guidelines for the kinds of demands that retailers can make of manufacturers protects the latter from anti-competition behaviour. Fact. Retailers just get cleverer in the language that they use and the way they express their demands. And I've seen many pieces of correspondence that were clearly crafted by their lawyers. They also avoid ever committing those things to paper where they can. A classic example of this is the Woolworths customer-focused ranging campaign, where they dressed it up as being about getting assortment to be right for their customers. But many people thought it looked suspiciously like cliffing aimed at squeezing manufacturers for reduced COGS. Positive claim number two, the Code provides manufacturers with a platform, with an avenue for taking their complaints about code breaches. Fact, manufacturers don't come forward because they know that there's a risk of reprisal if they raise complaints. Clear evidence of this comes directly from Christine Tacon, who's the code adjudicator in the UK. She often complains that when she asks manufacturers to come forward with their complaints, no one steps forward, even though she knows that informally there are lots of things to complain about. Positive claim number three, fines deter retailers from breaking the rules. Fact, retailers continue to abuse their power because the rewards for doing so outweigh the cost of being caught. Coles in Australia famously breached anti-competition rules and agreed to a fine of $12 million, a fraction of the profits they must have generated from the campaign that resulted in the fine. Positive claim number four, codes promote fair practices and a level playing field. Fact, retailers are in effect colluding by seeking detailed product, cost and future plans from suppliers that they then use to inform their own private label strategies. The Code is virtually impotent on this issue. Positive claim number five, by requiring formal supply contracts, the Code creates certainty for suppliers. Fact, in the UK, after several years of being in operation, very few such contracts exist. In Australia, the Code allowed for parties to opt out of the more meaningful clauses in the Code. Few suppliers resisted customer pressure to do so. My overall objection is that codes give retailers political cover, but don't address the underlying issues of dominance and abuse. Every supplier knows that even a retailer with only 20% market share can have a devastating effect on their business. They abuse that power every time they remove a viable brand from their shelves and replace it with a private label product. or when they threaten delisting of products to support a demand for more money, or where they refuse to implement a promotional activity for the same reason. Codes don't address these fundamental weaknesses. I have no doubt that grocery codes of practice are here to stay, so any attempt to strengthen them is welcome. Industry associations, particularly those that don't have retailers as members, play a vital role here. I encourage manufacturers to continue to press their industry associations to lobby governments for strengthening of industry codes, particularly as they relate to fair practices in the industry. My preferred approach to these challenges is to lobby governments to break down the dominant power of retailers and not allow them to control so much of the market. I don't accept the idea that dominance should be defined as having 40% or more market share. All the suppliers know that's nonsense. In this and other videos, you've heard me mention the FMCG Institute. The Institute's mission is to assist FMCG manufacturers to anticipate and adapt in a fast-changing world. The Institute is a global network of peer FMCG companies facing common challenges and sharing best practice. If you are a senior manufacturing executive grappling with this issue I've been talking about, or many of the other issues that I deal with in my videos, it may be time for you to consider joining the Institute. If you'd like to learn more about becoming a fellow of the FMCG Institute, visit fmcginstitute.com. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, share and subscribe. This is Marc Childs from Childs Davidson.